Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Before we get started, if someone could please type in the chat box and let me know that the audio is okay, that would be great. Just want to make sure that you guys can hear us. Great, thanks, Daniel. Well, hello, and welcome to the first webinar in the series, How to Have Your Best Year Ever. Just some quick notes. We will be making a copy of this presentation available as a download at the end of the webinar, so be sure to stick around. And we will be doing question and answer at the end. Feel free to type your questions in as we go so you don't forget them. And if you're watching this on replay and you have questions that are not answered, feel free to contact us via email. I am so excited to be here today with two amazing women. Kecia Lyons is the owner of Integrated Wellness Products. She is also co-founder with her husband of NutriRelief Inc. She is going to present the science behind our topic today. Christine Van Tassel is the CEO of Fresh Start Nutrition, and today she is going to talk about food, some eating habits, and also share some Eastern wisdom with us. And I'm Heather Renee Frederick, the owner of Dr. Heather Renee, and I'm going to be talking to you about your energy. While we each have our own business, we believe in an integrated, holistic approach to health and well-being. So we are combining forces and have come together with one simple goal. We want to help you feel great. Now, during our webinar series, we are going to be presenting evidence-based, leading-edge research and balance that with our experience as well as that of our clients. Listen, whatever you are going through, we want you to know that between the three of us, we've probably been there. Now, before we launch into practical tips you can use right away, I need to draw your attention to this disclaimer and remind you that these webinars and the information we provide are for educational purposes only. You are solely responsible for your healthcare and activity choices. Okay, so let me ask you, are you ready for your best year ever? Please type in the chat box and share one goal or intention you have for 2017. What's one thing that if you accomplished it in 2017 would really make this one of your best years ever? You guys can type in the chat box. There's a little bit of a delay on my end. I'm seeing lots of diversity there. And you know what? Regardless of your goal, you all need one common thing to get you where you need to go. And what you need is to get great sleep. So I'm curious, if you used a scale from 1 to 5 where 1 is never and 5 is always, how often would you say that you get a great night's sleep? And again, if you can go ahead and type that in the chat box. I see Kesia's got a 5 in there, but that's not surprising when you hear some of the research she's going to be presenting. Well, you know what? Based on your responses, you're all in the right place. Because most people are not getting the quality of sleep that they need to live the life that they want. You know, the statistics are dismal. A full 1/3 of adults are sleepy during the day because they didn't get a restful night's sleep. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Well, after just one night of not sleeping, you'll be hungrier. So there goes that weight loss goal. And if you haven't been sleeping well for a while, there goes any and all goals related to your health and well-being. Now, I'm sure you're not surprised that sleep impacts a whole lot of things. But if you're like we used to be, it just isn't something you put a lot of focus on. I know I used to say things like, it's fine, I'll just sleep when I'm dead. Well, today, Kecia is going to be educating you on the basics behind the science of sleep. She's an energetic corporate trainer and consultant in the integrated wellness industry and is calling in tonight from Palm Desert, California. As I mentioned, she's the co-founder of NutriRelief Inc., a company that formulates nutritional creams, which utilizes the skin as an alternative point of delivery for vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. At the core of her philosophy is that the conventional approach to health can be improved. Kecia, take it away.
Thank you, Heather, and thank you everybody for being on with us today. It's such a pleasure, and I appreciate that wonderful introduction. What I want to share with you in my segment is a completely new narrative that will literally transform how you look at sleep forever. And melatonin plays a starring role in this conversation. See, it doesn't matter if you sleep like a bear and you go down hard, you have no problems at all. Or if you're like me, where you have a restless mind, you have a hard time falling asleep because that active mind. Or you're like one of the millions of other people that are suffering from sleep issues where you wake up at 3 a.m. and can't fall back asleep. I don't know which one is worse, the monkey mind that won't let you fall asleep like I have, or waking up in the middle of the night knowing that the alarm is about to go off in a few hours. And I'm sure you know what I mean. Well, the reason we've created this powerful series, obviously, is to have your best year ever. But specifically tonight, it's about sleep. And if any of these affect you, I have powerful information that may help you find a solution. And I promise you that this information I'm going to share with you right now will completely transform your sleep habits forever. So let's get right to it. So what is melatonin? Melatonin is a hormone. It's naturally produced by the pineal gland. And melatonin is not unique to humans. It's not even unique to mammals. It's in amphibians, it's in birds, it's in reptiles, insects, it's in unicellular organisms, in bacteria and plants. Every organism contains melatonin, even a blade of grass. There is no species, literally, that has been identified that does not contain melatonin, plant or animal. So if you look at this picture on the slide, the pineal gland is a small pine cone-shaped endocrine gland located near the center of the brain. And in the spiritual world, it's referred to as the third eye. Maybe you've heard of that before. Its primary function is to regulate the sleep-wake cycles. This is also called the circadian rhythm. So the pineal gland, though, is not the only organ, however, you guys, that produces melatonin. Many cells in our body actually produce melatonin, yet the pineal gland is the only organ that releases it into the blood to provide what's called circadian information. That's really important. Don't forget that. And it provides the circadian information to all cells that can read the message. And all cells seem able to read that signal. So let me give you an example. Consider your bladder, okay, or your liver. There's no way your bladder or your liver can see and know if it's light or dark. It doesn't have any eyes. How can it see if you think about this? So how does it know, how does your liver, how does your bladder know, or any other organ know when it's night or day? Unless there's some melatonin message that it's receiving. There's a problem though. The problem is humans are relatively melatonin deficient. So why is that a problem? Okay, well, what's really important is that your body has a biological clock that runs in our brain, and all species have this biological clock. You have one, I have one, your dog has one, I know Christine's cat has one, and even rats have this biological clock. Your biological clock resides in the suprachiasmatic nucleus. And that's a really fun word if you want to have some fun later, suprachiasmatic nucleus. But we'll just call it SCN for lack of tonight, okay? But the bottom line is your biological clock resides in your suprachiasmatic nucleus of your brain. And this is in the hypothalamus part of your brain. Based on signals of light and darkness, your SCN, your suprachiasmatic nucleus, tells your pineal gland when it's time to secrete melatonin. This is really important because if you've ever wondered, like, you know, how does my brain know? How does my pineal gland know to secrete melatonin? Well, it comes through the optic nerve. And this is why my husband, Daniel, is always telling me, turn that phone off when we're going to bed, you know, at night up in the bedroom, because it's really important because light travels up through your optic nerve to the SCN, which is really sensitive to cycles of light and darkness. And I want to remind you of something. Dark is no longer dark. If you live anywhere in a city throughout the world now, dark is no longer dark. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So as I mentioned, melatonin emits a circadian rhythm. So as you look at this slide, it's exhibiting a 24-hour circadian body clock. Functions of the body that happen during the daytime hours are distinctively different than what happens at night. All the functions at night are regulated by melatonin in your bloodstream. So there is literally a true difference between what your body does at daytime versus nighttime. And that's the reason, for example, let me give you one example, that you don't have a bowel movement in the middle of the night. Because at night, melatonin sends your body a signal to suppress certain body functions that normally would occur during the day. For example, a bowel movement, it's suppressed, if you look at the bottom right-hand side of your slide, to not happen while you're asleep. And hence, that's the miracle of melatonin. However, light at night may be killing you, may be killing all of us. Light at night suppresses melatonin levels proportional to the brightness. And there's so many studies, I can't even go into it tonight, that's even talking about what that LED light is actually doing to the back of our retina and our eyes. But usually melatonin levels go up and remain elevated for the duration of darkness. However, if you're looking at light at night, your brain is not stupid, okay? It recognizes light when it sees it, and it tells your pineal gland, no more melatonin. And the lack of that the lack of that melatonin literally desynchronizes your entire body. So let me make this really, really important and really clear. When you turn on a light at night, you immediately send a signal to your brain. And it's misinformation. It's telling your brain that about the light-dark cycle. And the only thing that your body or your brain, your pineal gland interprets that light to be is daytime. It doesn't know any different. And there's a huge consequence, really a massive consequence to your body when you do this. So no matter what you do, avoid turning lights on at night. And if tonight you happen to, flip on the light switch when you go to the bathroom, or you look at your phone and you go, shoot, I remember when the girls told me not to do that. I hate to tell you this, but it's actually too late. That one split second of light will signal to your pineal gland to stop producing melatonin. So whatever you do, please don't look at your phone in the middle of the night. Please don't look at it before you go to bed. And please do not sleep with the TV on, no matter what, because melatonin promotes sleep, but sleep does not promote melatonin. The only thing that will kick melatonin into gear and signal your pineal gland to go to sleep and produce it is darkness. So I mentioned earlier why it's so critical not to use these gadgets. And I got to tell you, I'm a victim of it, okay? I got to tell you, my husband will yell at me because I'll be like, I'm turning the alarm on. I'm much better now. But these gadgets, they're not just waking us up in the middle of the night, they're actually making it hard for you to fall asleep. So look at this statistic, and please let this sink in. A 2-hour exposure to light from electronic displays suppresses melatonin by about 22%. So if you sleep with the TV on, it's not helping you, okay? Your sleep-wake cycle is easily disrupted, very easily disrupted. Look at the bottom left-hand side of this slide. This is the takeaway I want you to get from this. Natural daylight is blue-rich light, and bright artificial light is blue-rich light, because not all light is bad. Moonlight is not bad, okay? People can sleep under the moonlight. It's the white light, the blue light that's disrupting our eyes and causing melatonin to be suppressed. And so it's really, really important because your body cannot tell the difference between natural and artificial light. It doesn't know any different. So don't confuse it at night. And if you have to get up and use the restroom in the middle of the night, then do your best, okay? It might take a little while, but do your best to navigate that trek in the dark. And after a while, you're gonna get really good at it, I promise. Also, if you cannot say no to electronics before bedtime, or your kids can't say no, or your bedtime partner cannot say no, then do yourself a favor and either change the settings in your displays or download some kind of an app or software program, and there's many out there that will assist in reducing the harmful light on that cell phone, because it's really bad, okay, for our nighttime sleep habits. And I mentioned earlier that why is dark no longer dark at night anymore? Well, here you go. We're literally having a light-dark evolution. For the past century, the development world has been performing an open-ended experiment on ourselves. This is what we're doing to ourselves, and it's not good. And it's by lengthening its days and shortening its nights, because light is on in the big cities. Okay, there's not any big city you can't go to where you don't see big lights, especially like Vegas, New York, you see Tokyo, you see Europe. Even in our own households, we keep lights on, we keep TV on, all of these things. We're trying to lengthen our days, be more productive. but we're creating a massive problem because artificial lighting disrupts your biological clock and melatonin production big time. And it's having huge, unfortunate effects on our body. If you look at this slide, it says in the middle, an eternal electric day is creeping across the globe, but our brains and bodies cannot cope in a world without darkness. And if you know anything about the godfather of melatonin, which I'll introduce to you as I wrap up, Dr. Russell Ryder, he literally says, quote unquote, light may be killing you. So remember this. If we didn't have artificial light, we would be producing much more melatonin than we are. Now, this is Dr. Russell Ryder. This man is amazing. He is the godfather of melatonin education for the last 30 years. And in just the last 5 years, recent studies have revealed that tumors, get this, this is a whole nother webinar about melatonin and cancer. It's fascinating, but I'll give you a quick snippet. In the last 5 years, recent studies have revealed that tumors grow rapidly during daylight hours versus during the night. In the same study that he did, which I have and I can email it to you, it revealed that the tumor growth was suppressed when melatonin saturated blood was present. And furthermore, this is fascinating as well, these studies suggested that supplementing with melatonin also increases the effectiveness of drugs used to combat cancer. So if you have cancer and the drugs that are trying to kill the cancer are not being receptive to that drug, with melatonin supplementation, they found in the studies that drug was able to go in and kill the cancer and eat it up better. That's a whole nother webinar we'll do, but it's fascinating information. And I really, really, really want to tell you that melatonin delivers a 1-2 punch. So in this book, in Dr. Ryder's book called Melatonin Breakthrough Discoveries That Can Help You, in this book, literally he states that there have been more studies done on melatonin than vitamin C. So this is not a new topic. It's just people only associate melatonin with sleep, and it's not just for sleep. And everything that I'm sharing with you today, everything, literally he mentions in his lecture video called Melatonin Better Than Expected. And I really encourage you to watch it on YouTube as soon as you can. It's a recent lecture that he just did this past December. So I highly recommend that you watch it. And so even though people think about, melatonin, they think, oh, I don't need melatonin, or yes, I take melatonin, or I sleep great, or no, I don't sleep great. It's not just for sleep. If you look at these benefits, I bet you didn't even know that melatonin helps migraines up to 50%. So if you know anybody who suffers from headaches or suffers from migraines, or maybe even yourself, you have bad migraines, I'm telling you, melatonin may be the better answer. So I just want to thank you guys as I wrap up. I can't thank you enough for taking the time out to be with Heather, Christine, and I, and really for your attention. I hope that in my little segment of science, which is a very small amount of time, I was able to give you something that was useful. And that's a big part of why Daniel and I created our company, NutriRelief, and why we created this melatonin night cream. And many people ask Daniel and I, they say, is there a difference in taking melatonin through the skin versus oral supplementation? And the answer is yes. And I can't go into that today, but you can email me with questions. But yes, there is a difference taking it through the skin versus going through the digestive tract. And that'll be another webinar we'll do on digestion. So I just want to wrap up by saying, please, if you want to learn anything more about what we're up to, go to our website. Go to NutriRelief.com, check it out. Go to my other website, IntegratedWellnessProducts.com. Check it out. Please sign up for the newsletter, because then I can send you these awesome National Geographic articles. I can send you the melatonin and cancer article. I can keep you in the loop. And I would love it if you follow us on Facebook at our NutriRelief Inc. site. And if Facebook's not your thing, go to Twitter, LinkedIn. We're on all the social media sites. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, I'd really appreciate if you email me at Kecia@KeciaWimmer.com. And I want to thank you very much for listening to my science segment. So now, let me move it on, and let me introduce our next segment and our speaker. She's an amazing woman. I adore her to pieces. Christine graduated from the Natural Healing Institute and is a certified nutritionist and the owner of Fresh Start Nutrition. She is calling in tonight from San Diego, but she works with clients all around the world via Skype and phone. As a holistic nutritionist, Christine is very, very passionate, and she is, let me tell you, and dedicated to helping both men and women use food as medicine. to heal from the root cause of any imbalance and ailments that people feel so they can feel transformed, revitalized, and healthy. So Christine, take it away.
Thank you, Kecia, for that very sweet introduction and that great information. Who knew melatonin was such a powerful hormone for so much more than just sleep? So now that you learned the importance of melatonin, I'm excited to share with you 6 foods that will naturally increase your melatonin for better sleep and give you some additional tips related to eating and your organs. So let's get started. I want to preface before we talk about the foods that when I'm working with a client, there are a series of questions I ask to determine what is going on, not just physically, but emotionally as well, because they're often interrelated. The questions you see here are just a small sample of things I would ask you if you were expressing trouble with your sleep. The majority of our clients complain they don't sleep well, which is one of the reasons we've selected this topic today, because without good sleep, you just can't be totally healthy. For the purpose of today's webinar, I'm going to simply tell you about 6 foods that you may not realize can help you have a better night's sleep. There are many more, but for the sake of time, I've selected 6 of the most popular that have proven to work well when taking all things into consideration. All right, let's first talk about turkey and sleep. I think it's safe to say most everyone has heard how eating turkey can make you sleepy, but do you really understand why? I think it's important that we briefly cover that. So there's an essential amino acid in turkey called L-tryptophan that acts as a sedative. When this travels through the blood to the brain, our bodies change it into that feel-good chemical called serotonin. Serotonin is then used to make melatonin, which is the hormone that helps control your sleep, as Kecia just taught us. Now that we got the basics down, I want to introduce you to these foods right away so you can get a better sleep tonight. Tip number 1. Tart cherries. Tart cherries are well known for their melatonin-inducing power, which helps regulate our internal clock for great sleep. They help the body reduce inflammation, aid in digestion, and are low on the glycemic index. Many studies have been done to prove all of these benefits help with a better night's sleep. Tart cherries are most often consumed frozen or as juice. My personal favorite is frozen, and I like to enjoy a handful of them instead of dessert. My sleep prescription for you would be to drink 1 ounce twice a day to get you started. Once in the morning, once in the evening, 30 minutes before bedtime. It's not as tart as you may think. I actually really love the taste. Our next tip is oatmeal. Oats are high in the stress-reducing vitamin B6 and melatonin, and together they act as a natural sleep aid. Oats help the body produce melatonin more naturally, whether you eat them for breakfast or for dinner. If you eat a bowl 3 to 4 hours before bedtime, it will help prevent insomnia by boosting your serotonin levels. Oats contain an array of vitamins and minerals that also assist with the healthy nervous system and relaxation. Try having a small bowl of steel-cut oatmeal for dessert, topped with cinnamon, pumpkin seeds, and chopped pineapple instead of a not-so-healthy sugary treat, and see if you notice your sleep improving. Tip number 3 is pineapple, and who doesn't love fresh-cut pineapple? Pineapple contains melatonin-boosting benefits as well. It's also great to have a few bites with dinner for its digestive benefits. The earlier in the evening we eat, and the better we digest our food, the better we will sleep. Our bodies were just not designed to be working hard digesting foods at bedtime, and this is often what keeps us up late and makes it really hard to sleep. Eating pineapple will also help prevent indigestion. It's a win-win for your tummy and for your sleep. My prescription for you is to have a few bites with dinner, muddle a few chunks in your water for a refreshing flavor, or chop up a few pieces and add on top of your oatmeal for a natural sweetness. Next, we have one of my personal favorites, pumpkin seeds. I love the crunchiness, and they are a nutritional powerhouse. Not only can they help improve your sleep with the L-tryptophan, magnesium, and zinc, they're also loaded with fiber and are free radical scavengers too. My sleep prescription would be for you to enjoy a 1/4 cup a day as a snack or sprinkle on top of your favorite salad. It's always best to buy them raw for easier digestion, and nowadays they come in so many great flavors. Tip number 5 is walnuts. Studies have shown when you eat walnuts, the amount of melatonin in the bloodstream triples. Yep, you heard me right, triples. Another great thing about walnuts is the melatonin in walnuts is in a bioavailable form, so it's going to be easier for you to absorb. Out of all of the nuts, walnuts rank at the top for one of the highest amounts of tryptophan, which, as we are learning, helps make serotonin and melatonin for a better night's sleep. I would recommend trying a small handful of this healthy nut as a snack. Sprinkle crushed walnuts on your veggies or pasta for added crunch, or you could throw a few in your smoothie for added benefits. Last but not least, we have spinach and kale. These nutrient-dense supergreens are loaded with powerful minerals, and research shows that when you are calcium and magnesium deficient, it may make it more difficult to relax, fall asleep, and stay asleep. Spinach and kale also contain zinc, which helps alleviate insomnia, just like those pumpkin seeds. There are several ways to incorporate spinach and kale into your daily meals. Add this variety of leafy greens to your salads, make some sauteed spinach as a side dish, or you can add a cupful of spinach to your protein shake without hardly even noticing the taste. In addition to adding these 6 foods to your diet, I want to share a couple of very important tips to work into your evening ritual in order to prepare for that better night's sleep. I want to emphasize, if you don't use these tips, just adding the 6 sleep-promoting foods just won't be as effective, so these are key, so take notes and listen up. First, you should always eat dinner at least 3 to 4 hours before bedtime for a couple reasons in particular. As mentioned earlier, our bodies are not designed to accommodate late-night eating, and for most people, dinner is their largest meal. Have you ever experienced heartburn, indigestion, coughing, trouble swallowing, or sniffling after a heavy dinner and while trying to go to sleep? These can all be signs of acid reflux. So eat that last meal 3 to 4 hours before bed. Otherwise, you may experience that acid coming up from your stomach when you lie down. I always recommend that your largest meal should always be for lunch. Second, it's always good to practice to eat dinner, or any meal for that matter, in a peaceful environment where you can really enjoy it. Also, be grateful for your meals and chew your food slowly. This will allow for better digestion. Eating in front of a computer, on the go, while watching something toxic, or when you're upset can all affect how you digest and absorb your food, which will definitely affect your sleep. So remember earlier I told you that I have a series of questions related to sleep that I ask when working with a client? Well, one thing that has been so fascinating to me is how many people wake up at the same time in the middle of the night, night after endless night. Anyone out there ever experienced this? My third tip is to pay attention to when you're waking up in the middle of the night. It's important to take note of the time and know this may be a sign that your body is trying to communicate something else that could be going on. The most common time to wake up is between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. This used to happen to me, so I'm also speaking from experience. According to the Chinese organ body clock you see here, each organ has a repair and maintenance schedule. Your body is a biofield of organized energy, and when the energy is blocked, physical and non-physical symptoms can arise. These symptoms are a cry for help, as I like to call it, alerting you that your body may need some help to restore its balance. Otherwise, more serious issues may persist if you continue to ignore the signals. Our bodies are always communicating to us. It's really up to us to listen. So, for example, if you're waking up consistently between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., this may mean you would benefit from a liver detox and really cleaning up your diet. Your liver may be on toxic overload, and this isn't just from a poor diet and alcohol. It can be from your prescription drugs, toxins we breathe, and the products we put on our bodies that are often loaded with chemicals that you may not even be aware of. From an emotional standpoint, waking up at this time consistently may also mean that you're dealing with some unresolved anger, grief, or even sadness. I encourage you to start keeping track in a journal if you're waking up each night at certain times. Study the Chinese organ body clock and observe changes in your body as you start to identify what body organ may need some extra TLC. All right, well, there you have it, 6 foods and 3 tips that can help improve your sleep. I hope you learned some valuable information that you didn't already know. I would love to know what 1 or 2 foods you'll be introducing in your nightly routine. You can reach me and let me know 3 different ways. Go ahead and visit me on my Facebook page, Fresh Start Nutrition, and post your favorite sleepy time food. Or you can email me with any questions at Christine@freshstartnutritioncoach.com. Or you can visit my website at freshstartnutritioncoach.com and be sure to download my free ebook, 5 Days to Better Health. Next, we have one of my very most favorite speakers and energy healers of all time, Dr. Heather Renee Frederick. She received her PhD in psychology from Brandeis University, where she studied aging. She is the owner of Dr. Heather Renee, a company that helps people understand their life as energy. She does this through products as well as energy healing modalities that give people the tools they need to heal themselves. She's calling in today from Laguna Niguel, California. Heather, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Christine. And you know, I have learned so much from both of you. I have to admit that my habits have definitely changed since we started working on this webinar about a month ago. So Kesia, you'll be happy to know I've been fumbling around in the dark after 6 these days. And Christine, I want you to know that I now always have walnuts and pumpkin seeds in my cupboard and pineapple in the fridge. Okay, so today I'm here to add another dimension to this conversation. I want to bring in your energy as it relates to sleep. And you know, people often ask me, what do you mean by energy? Today I'm going to keep it very simple. Energy has different names in different cultures and traditions. I've listed a few here. But the point I want to drive home is this. Everything, and I mean everything, radiates an energy field. And everything we interact with, it either strengthens or weakens our life energy. Why? Because we are energetic beings. Here you can see the magnetic field that radiates from the heart, and it is both within you and it extends a few feet outside your body. So, aha, you might be thinking, I can feel someone else's energy. Yes, you can, and that's why we say things like, our chemistry is amazing, or I always just feel so good around her, or I don't know, I don't like him, he just has a bad vibe. You have these experiences because we are all energy. And guess what? In terms of your energy, all day long you leak it out, as well as pick up energy that's not yours. This is why if you're around a lot of people or certain types of people, you might feel particularly tired at the end of the day and not get a good night's sleep. I hope this image drives this point home. I would like you to think about your energy field like your bare feet. Now, what would your feet look like if you went around all day barefoot? They'd be picking up dirt and look like this, more than likely. Well, at the end of the day, before you crawl into bed, we want both your feet and your energy field squeaky clean. So today I'm going to give you some suggestions you can use during the day and before bed that may improve your sleep, especially if you combine them with other tips you've heard here today. Now, before I give you some ideas about how you can raise your vibration, I think it's important to give you a little context. This is Dr. David Hawkins' map of consciousness, and this map ranks levels of being and their frequency. I've removed the numbers from the slide because they aren't relevant for our discussion. What is important is that you understand that the words in green are high vibration or high frequency ways of being, and those in red are low. Now, emotions drive your overall frequency. So your goal is to stay in the feelings that are green and out of the feelings that are red. Okay, but let's face it, life happens, right? What I want you to understand, this is really interesting, is that these are rank ordered. So if yesterday you were feeling guilty, but today you're feeling angry, guess what? You're making progress. So that's a good thing. Again, if you find yourself in red emotions, then your goal is going to be to just try to move up the scale. Okay, so I can hear you asking, well, how do I do that, Heather? Music is an easy one. Music has a vibration. Bob Marley and the Beatles are some high frequency choices. My current personal favorite is a musician by the name of Mark Romero, and his music has been scientifically proven to help you shift to a higher level. You may want to also explore brainwave technology, QSPA as an example. QSPA uses neuroacoustic smart sound and bioscalar technologies. Again, I could do an entire webinar just on this topic, but essentially you listen once a day for about 20 minutes and it helps harmonize your body. Meditate. This is a big one. The amount of scientific research on meditation is undeniable. Now, this may seem a bit more of a commitment, but even 3 minutes can have an impact. So if you don't have a meditation practice, I encourage you to consider one. And you might want to start with a guided meditation, and QSPA even offers a meditation track. So if you'd like to find out more about these first 3 bullet points, I do have a tab on my website that I'll be sharing with you later, and that tab is called Music and Meditations. Now for the 4th one. Remember how earlier I said that everything radiates an energy field and that those fields either strengthen or weaken us? Well, the 4th tip is to limit your exposure to low vibration things. These might be people, political Facebook posts, even the evening news. Any outside source that causes you to feel any red emotion like sadness, anger, frustration is something you will want to consider avoiding. So you know what I would love? I would love if you would experiment with this suggestion for just one day. Challenge yourself to simply stay away from anything low vibration, just one day, and do an experiment and see how your energy changes. Okay, so these are some simple things you can do throughout the day to raise your vibration and replenish your energy field, which is going to put you in a position for better night's sleep. Now let's talk about a bedtime routine. Did you know that those last few minutes of your day are super important? They set the stage for your sleep and how you wake up. So I wonder, how are you spending those last precious moments? Is your monkey mind running around wild like mine used to? Are you ruminating about something that's bothering you? Or are you obsessing about tomorrow's to-do list? Well, I want to share a quick 3-minute routine that can help you prepare for a better, more restful night's sleep. Now, I am going to ask you to visualize, and you know, many of my clients, they say, Heather, I'm not good at that. But I want to take just a minute here and show you how good you really are. So what I want you to do right now is visualize a nice, yellow, juicy lemon. Good. Now I want you to see it being cut into corners. That's right. Now put one of those slices in your mouth and just suck out some of that juice. Is your mouth starting to water? See, you can visualize. Oh, and as a bonus, that exercise also shows you that your body doesn't know the difference between your thoughts and reality. So you didn't have a lemon slice in your mouth, and yet your body responded as if you did. Now that's a topic for another webinar, so let's get back to the bedtime routine. Step number 1, you're going to clear your head of thoughts not serving you. So if you're in a position where you can try this, I'd love for you to actually do it. You're just going to take a deep breath in, and then on the exhale, just tip your head forward and watch those thoughts come tumble out and just sink into the earth. That was pretty easy, right? If you have some thoughts that are resistant and don't want to leave, then I want you to give them permission. You can talk to them, tell them it's okay to leave, and just try it again. Now, step 2 has to do with deep breathing. Deep breathing results in physiological change in our bodies, but the truth is, most of us just don't breathe. So I want you to give your body a break and do some deep breathing as you're lying in bed. Now we're going to do some deep breathing here together, just a few, so that you can experience this. If you're in a position where you can relax and close your eyes, that would be great. If you're not, then please breathe along, but do keep your eyes open. I'm going to be asking you to breathe through your nose. Why? Because the nose is a natural filter and we want the best oxygen we can get. But you can breathe out through your nose or mouth, whatever's comfortable for you. Okay, are you ready? We're going to breathe in for about 5 seconds and out for 5 seconds. So I'm going to cue you. You're going to breathe in a feeling of deep relaxation. And now breathe out any residual tension you are holding on to. Breathe in all the energy that you leaked out today. And breathe out any energy you picked up that's not yours. Breathe in a sense of peace and well-being. And now breathe out any worry, anxiety, or doubt. And if your eyes are closed, gently blink them open. And as you return to alertness, you will notice that you feel pretty relaxed, right? And that only took 30 seconds. I recommend at least 6 breaths, which would give you about a minute of deep breathing. After you do that, you're ready for step 3. Notice I have here happy feelings. Why not happy words or thoughts? Well, that's because the universe doesn't speak words, but rather vibration or frequency. So emotions and feelings are what you need to focus on, not your thoughts. So what I want you to do right now is think back to that goal you shared earlier in the webinar, that thing that would make your 2017 just a great year. And with your relaxed mind, I want you to imagine that it's done. Go ahead, imagine it. Whatever it is that you really want this year, see it as done. And now I want you to tell me how you feel. You can say the words out loud in your head. You can type them in the chat box if you'd like. But I want you to say at least 5 words. And as you say them or type them, I want you to allow yourself to feel them. And this is what I want you to do before you fall asleep. So there you have it, some simple daytime tips and a quick nighttime routine that can help with your sleep. I would love for you to visit my website at drheatherrenee.com, where you can download a free game I created that will instantly raise your vibration. It would be awesome if you follow me on Facebook. And like the other ladies, I'm available at email, drheatherrenee@gmail.com. Now let's do a quick recap. Today, Kesia shared with you the science behind sleep and the importance of melatonin. Hopefully you will watch the lights in the evening and change the settings on your electronics to help keep your circadian rhythm healthy. Christine shared some favorite sleepy time foods, tips about eating, and that fascinating Chinese body clock. And I shared suggestions for replenishing your energy and a routine that can help clear your energy at night. Again, combined, these tips can really help your sleep, and we hope you're excited to try some of them. Now, at this point, we're going to open it up for some questions. You can type them in the chat box or in the question and answer period. And Kesia, while you're looking to see if there's any questions you can answer, I'm going to make the slides available. So what you're going to see in your chat box should be an orange button that says click to download, and you can download the slides there. Kesia, do you see any questions that are related to your talk?
Yes, thank you, Heather, very much. I'm loving everyone's comments too. Thank you for typing in the chat box. I actually saw a question that was sent just to us, the admin, Julie, and she asked, if I take melatonin topically versus orally, what parts of my body do I put it on? Which is a great question because most people do oral melatonin. So thank you, Julie, for that question. With topical melatonin, obviously your skin is the largest organ, which hopefully makes sense to be able to use your skin as a point of administration. And if you're using our melatonin cream, then we say put it on your face, simply your face, your neck, and your chest, mostly face and neck with just 1 pump, because of the fact that we've added some extra ingredients in our particular topical cream that are anti-aging. So it's really good for wrinkles and anti-aging. It's awesome. But you can put topical melatonin on anywhere on your body. You can rub it on just the temples. You can put it on your forearms. You can rub it on the inner part of your thighs. You can rub it anywhere on your skin, basically. And even though sometimes people think that if they have, does it need to be an area of the skin that doesn't have any hair? Actually, not necessarily, because obviously the follicle of the hair is a way that it can go into the body, through the skin, passing through the fatty tissue into your circulatory system. But yes, I recommend finding a smooth area. And one of the best spots is your feet. It's unbelievable when you rub it on your feet, especially the soles of the feet. And we have lots of research I can share with you why, but you can put it basically anywhere on your body. So thank you. And I see one other quick question, actually, Heather, one more quick question, and then I'll pass it off to Christine if she's got any questions that come in. Another question was, so, what's the difference of taking a dosage of topical melatonin versus oral? And what's really great about topical melatonin is that it's not going through the digestive tract, so it doesn't have to go through first, second phase digestion and through the what we call the acid bath, which is basically your stomach acid and the bile in your stomach. So usually when people do an oral application, they're usually taking 1 to 3 milligrams, but because of the acid in your stomach and the bile, when it actually finally is absorbed into the body, it's sometimes even less than 1 milligram. So people, you're not really getting what the oral capsule says because of digestion. And then if they have any type of digestion or methylation problems, that even adds to that, where their absorption levels could be low. When you take it topically, less is more. Less is a lot more because of the fact that it's going straight through the skin, straight through the fatty tissue into your circulatory system. And it's about, it's about 1 to 3 milligrams per pump and a half. But just remember, use less. Okay, that's all I need to say, because it's clean and it's going straight into the system and it doesn't have the issues of the digestive tract. So thanks, Heather. I appreciate the time to answer a couple questions, and I'll pass it off to Christine.
Thank you, Kecia. I do see a question from Miriam, and she asks, how important is it to buy these foods organic? Great question, Miriam. As a nutritionist, I always suggest buying organic as often as possible. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but there's a group called the Environmental Working Group, and they specifically test produce samples to see which contain the highest amounts of pesticide residues, and the amounts they find is really shocking. I highly recommend that you visit their website. Heather or Kecia, can you type in the chat box for people to check this out? www.ewg.org. This website will give you a list you can print out called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. Related to what I shared earlier, buy everything organic except for the pineapple. Pineapple is one of the fruits they tested in 2016 that's unlikely to hold these pesticide residues. Also, if you can buy your nuts and seeds, both organic and raw, they're easier to digest that way, and you won't get all the pesticides and chemicals that are found so often in nuts and seeds. Thank you so much for asking that question, and I encourage everyone on the call to do more research on the foods that you frequently buy and see what's most important to buy organic. Heather, do you see any questions that can be answered? I think that was my only one.
Chris is asking if I can direct him to a resource for the map of consciousness. Chris, the original source is in Dr. Hawkins' book, Power versus Force. But really simply, you can Google map of consciousness and find images as well as information. And then I have one other question here related to reducing exposure to low frequency things. And the question is, well, what do I do if everyone I work with is low frequency? How do I get rid of everyone around me? It's not logical. Well, a couple of things. One thing I'd like you to consider is that our outer is a reflection of our inner. And if this is a new concept for you, I highly recommend Joe Vitale's book, The Attractor Factor. And we can do another webinar just on this idea of like energy attracting like energy. So we all know how hard it is, if not impossible, to change people. So what I'm going to suggest is you kind of turn that camera around, point it at you. And I do have that free downloadable game on my website. It's called What I Like About You, and it's great to play by yourself. The other person does not need to know that you're playing it with someone you find challenging to interact with. If you can play it for a week, 21 days is more optimal, but if you take me up on that offer, I would love to hear how that goes. Let me see if I see any other questions.
And I see some good ones, Heather, from different people, but just let them know that we have your email, and we can definitely, like I see some questions from Vince. Thank you, Vince and Scott, and I just really appreciate them. But just so you know, we have your email, and we will make sure we answer your questions, every single one of them, even if we don't do it live.
Yeah, we want to make sure. We promised we would keep this short, you guys, so we will email you a response if you didn't get an answer. And at this point, we really want to thank you for sharing your time with us. We know how valuable your time is, and we really hope you learned some practical tips that you can try right away. Now, we're going to be promoting our next talk soon, and I want to remind you that if you want to get an invite for all our future webinars, you can register for our year-long series. This is going to be a year-long series. At this point, we're planning one webinar for about every 4 to 6 weeks. So when you click on that button to reserve your spot now, it's going to ask you for your name and your email. And once you enter that, you're going to see this page. And I want to draw your attention to the button that says, yes, subscribe me. If you simply click on that, then you'll get invited and you'll receive the recordings even if you can't make the webinar. So again, thank you for your time. We wish you a beautiful rest of your day and a great night's sleep. Sweet dreams.